What's up, everybody? Welcome to Crust Punk Baking. This is video numero uno. My name is Jeff. I will be your host with the toast. So, really the whole purpose of this channel is to share some recipes, do some tutorials, show a little bit of baking science, but most importantly, make home baking a little easier and a hell of a lot more approachable. So if you're looking for a recipe website with about 20 paragraphs on the temperature of the day and the mood the person was in, make you scroll all the way bottom to the recipe, this ain't it. So a little background on me. Been doing restaurants for about the past 14 years. You might remember me from my 3.5-minute stint on the Food Network. But probably not. I'm just a dude that likes to bake and want to show some cool stuff. All right, so let's jump into it. Today's episode is titled Banana Bread, the bread you can't up. What's awesome about banana bread? I mean, look at it. Does that not look awesome? So we'll be busting out one of these guys here shortly. But you can't mess it up. If you add ingredients at the wrong time, if you don't have proper ingredients, you can substitute pretty much anything in it, and it's delicious. No matter how it turns out, it's still going to be good, and it's still going to be banana bread. And that's just the kind of buffer that you need, especially to get started if you haven't really baked at home. All right, so it's kind of a super basic recipe. We got some eggs. We got some brown sugar, got a little bit of baking soda, some butter, and flour. And optional, you can add that. All right, so before we start mixing and everything, I want to get to our very first segment. It's called cheat codes. Essentially, cheat codes are going to be shortcuts. It's going to be substitutes. It's going to be really anything to make the recipe easier or to show things that you could substitute in case you don't have a specific ingredient. For example, if you don't have brown sugar, white sugar, molasses will work. Today we're using all-purpose flour. I typically prefer to use bread flour. It's got a little bit more protein, makes it a sturdier, kind of heartier bread. So if you want to use bread flour but don't have bread flour, you can add a little bit of vital wheat gluten, which is just straight up protein, plant protein, to it. Tightens up the structure a little better, makes it better for baking. And also, if you want to do this vegan, this is one of the easiest recipes to substitute vegan ingredients for. You, instead of butter, use any sort of plant-based margarine, oil. I mean, yeah, you can use vegetable oil, you can use any oil, as long as it's fatty, that's all you need. If you add the substitute eggs, you can use just a standard egg replacer. You can add extra bananas, or you can even throw a little applesauce in there. And really, that's just going to bind things together and make it awesome. All right, let's get going. As we enter ludicrous speed, we start with the butter and brown sugar, and really we're just going to beat that till it's nice and smooth. After it is nice and smooth, we're going to add our eggs. Boom, boom, followed by our bananas. Vanilla, the nuts. We're gonna stop it, add the flour, and just mix it until it's together, not too smooth. All right, so we're gonna dump it in there. Get it. So, I like to hit it a few times just to even it out, level it out a little bit. So we're gonna bake it at 350 degrees for about an hour, somewhere in there. You are going to want to test it towards the end. Throw a toothpick in there in the center. If it comes out clean, then you're good to go. If not, bake it a little longer. But this brings us to our second segment. Welcome to the Dirt Alert segment. So this segment is all about science, baking science. So for example, so we're baking today at 350 degrees. Wondered why 350? Turns out it has everything to do with something called the Maillard reaction. The Maillard reaction is a chemical reaction that happens on the outside of foods, turns them brown. So anything from steaks and chicken and pork or whatever, all the way to cookies, muffins, or banana bread. So we also used baking soda today. Baking soda is a leavening agent. It's what causes things to rise. So baking soda is a single acting or a single reaction, and it reacts with a liquid and it reacts with an acid. And the acid today is brown sugar. There is something called acetic acid inside of molasses. So that's combined with all this lovely liquid that's in there. is what's going to make it rise. We were not using baking powder today. Baking powder is a double reaction. So it reacts with liquids at room temperature, and then it reacts again at once there's heat. And so since we're trying to make a dense bread, we don't need that second rise, so baking soda will do just fine. All right, so we're going to toss this in for about an hour. See how it turns out. All right, it's been exactly 55 minutes since we threw that banana bread in the oven, and look at this beautiful toasty boy. I'm gonna wait another 10 minutes before I pop it out of the pan, throw it on a cooling rack, and then slice it and just go to town. So I made a couple of examples of banana breads that aren't as pretty, but remember, it's banana bread, you can't f it up. So this one right here is overworked. This one here, threw everything in the mixer all at the same time and just let it do its thing. Both of them have about half a cup less flour than our standard recipe, but they're baked for the exact same amount of time. They do kind of look like trash, but they are salvageable. I mean, what I would probably do is throw some icing in this one or throw ice cream in this one, level it off, cut it into slices, and boom, still delicious. Banana bread, can't F it up. Thanks for hanging out. We got some more cool stuff coming for you, so stay tuned. See you guys then.